everyone, and welcome to the theater. I hope.
Keep going.
Okay. I just want to say a couple of things about the theater here. Number one, we are getting ready to do yet another play this year. It's called The Mousetrap, and you know, The Mousetrap is from England, and it's the first time that it came here after COVID, so we're really excited that we have the rights to do that. And then right after that, on the June the 30th, we're doing Mary Poppins, which is a musical, and we'll be doing that at Danbury School. And then in July the 25th, we are doing the musical Frozen, and we'll be doing that at the, I started to say Winnipeg, but I started to say Toledo. We're doing that at the Port Clinton Fine Arts Center, so we're really excited that we're going to be there. Okay? So just wanted you all to know that.
Wow.
Okay. Theater is the only place, and art is the only place where you can bring people back to life. And regardless of what state they're in, how many years they've been gone or been with us, they still, they're the champions. So this evening, we're going to bring to life some absolutely marvelous artists. Hopefully you'll recognize them. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
Ready.
Mon Dieu! I have been dead for over 100 years, and here I am at this meeting, and it's almost all women in an arts club. What gives? This is nothing like the mid-19th century. I was born in 1840. Do you know who I am? Ah, merci. Yes, Claude Monet. Right. Yes. So, I was born in 1840, and I first went to art school in 1851, and at that time there were no women. There were no women involved in arts. It wasn't allowed. There were rules against having women participate in art. It was purely a men's occupation. Excuse me. Being dead for 100 years has done something to my eyesight. Okay. All right. Art school was really not the thing for me. There were too many rules, and stupid rules. For example, when they took us to the Louvre, they said, copy the master's works. And I thought, piffle, I do not want to copy the master's works, so what did I do? I set up my easel next to a window where I could overlook a Parisian street, and I painted the streetscape. I painted the people as they really were. And this became part of my passion throughout the rest of my life. In 1962, I studied under artist Charles Gleyre, and that in itself is not that important, but what was important is that is where I met Pierre-Auguste Renoir, Frédéric Bazille, and Alfred Sisley. We would go on to form the core of what would become the Impressionist movement in French art. Rather than following conventional approaches, we focused on the effects of light on plein air, with broken color and rapid brush strokes. In the spring of 1871, my work was refused the exhibition at the Royal Academy. Therefore, in 1874, along with Degas, Renoir, Manet, and Pissarro, we created an independent exhibition that featured this new and revolutionary approach to art. One of my paintings was that of Le Havre Harbor in the morning sunrise. And unfortunately, that is this. You may be familiar with this. It was Impression Sunrise. It was widely credited as one of the earliest impressionistic pieces. As I said, it was named okay. I'm sorry. So, it was Impression Sunrise. It was roundly criticized by the critics, as it were. It was criticized for its lack of definition in its characters. It was criticized for being indistinct, and for a lot of reasons. And it was one art critic in particular that cited the term impression. And so that term became adopted by all of the impressionist artists as our identity. And this is where the name Impressionism comes from. It was from that one art critic. Throughout my career, two of my most favorite subjects were my wives. Camille, seen here in a very famous piece called The Woman in the Green Dress. Okay, that is Camille, très belle, oui, oui, who bore me two sons, but unfortunately passed away in 1879. And Alice, who I married in 1892, and I became the stepfather to her 6 children. As this genre developed, I embarked on a series of paintings focusing on a single subject. My first was haystacks. Haystacks. Who in the world would paint haystacks again and again? But what was the point of this? The point of it was to take a single subject and examine what happened with that subject over time and under changing light, which of course is an impressionist theme. That was followed by Poplars in 1892, Rouen Cathedral in 1894, and in each of these series, as I said, I would create a multiple impressions of each subject and examining it at different times of the day and under different lighting conditions. As I became more successful and prosperous, I was able to settle on a 2-acre property in Verny, France. There I established studios, gardens, and especially the water lily ponds. Aha. These became my most famous works. And as you see here, this unfortunately is not one of mine, but it is certainly characteristic of over 400 paintings I did of water lilies. So over time I examined the effect of lighting and climatic changes on the perception of the water lilies. These ponds and gardens eventually grew to such an extent that they employed 6 full-time gardeners just to maintain them. In the early 20th century, I developed cataracts in both eyes. While 2 surgeries were reasonably successful, they had an impact on my perception of light. My paints took on a reddish tone after I had my cataract surgeries. My perception of certain colors changed. After the operations, I even repainted some of my works with bluer water lilies. In December of 1926, I died of lung cancer. My influence on the 19th and 20th century art is unquestionable, and I remain your humble servant, Claude Monet.
Hola, I am Frida. My name is synonymous with passion, pain, and artistry. I am undoubtedly one of the most iconic figures in the world of visual arts. My life and work continue to captivate audiences, inspiring generations of artists and admirers alike. I was born on July 6, 1907, in Coyoacan, Mexico. My journey was marked with triumphs and tribulations, and an unwavering commitment to self-expression. My early life was marked by adversity and challenges that would later shape my artistry. I was born Magdalena Carmen Frida Kahlo y Calderon to a German father, Guillermo, and a Mexican mother, Matilde Calderon. One of the defining features of my life was my fragile health. At the age of 6, I contracted polio, which left my right leg significantly thinner than the left. Despite this early setback, I developed a fiery spirit and determination to live life to the fullest. However, my life took a devastating turn when at the age of 18, I was involved in a near-fatal bus accident. The accident left me with a multitude of injuries, including a broken spinal column, collarbone, ribs, and pelvis. I spent months in recovery, enduring excruciating pain and numerous surgeries. It was during this period of convalescence that I began to paint. My journey into the world of art was not driven by desire for fame or fortune, but by the profound need for self-expression and catharsis. As I say, I paint myself because I am so often alone, and because I am the subject that I know best. My art became a means of navigating the physical and emotional pain that had become inextricably woven into my existence. My paintings are characterized by their raw, unapologetic portrayal of my inner world. I frequently depict myself in my works using my own image as a canvas upon which to paint, and explore themes of identity, of pain, and resilience. One of my most renowned paintings, De Tu Fritas, 1939, captures the duality, my identity as a woman of mixed heritage, and my complex emotions. My use of vibrant colors, symbolism, and surrealist elements in my paintings set me apart from my contemporaries. My art is deeply personal, yet is universally relatable. It speaks to the human existence of suffering and resilience, making my work both timeless and relevant. My marriage to the renowned Mexican muralist Diego Rivera was a significant chapter in my life. He and I had a tumultuous and passionate relationship that played a crucial role in shaping our lives and identities. We met when I was a student at the National Preparatory School in Mexico City. Diego was already a prominent figure in the art world, known for his large-scale murals that depicted Mexican history and culture. Our marriage in 1929 marked the union of two formidable artistic talents, but it was far from conventional. I often depict Diego in my paintings, exploring themes of love, of jealousy, and desire. My painting, Diego and I, is a poignant representation of our complex emotional connection. My art and legacy continue to resonate with audiences worldwide. My paintings have been exhibited in prestigious museums and galleries around the globe, solidifying my status as a renowned artist, I became a feminist icon, celebrating my unapologetic self-expression and refusal to conform to societal norms. My life and art are a testament to the power of self-expression, resilience, and the enduring impact of an individual's creativity. My journey, marked by physical pain, emotional turmoil, and an unwavering commitment to my craft, has left an indelible mark on the world of art and beyond. Through my paintings, I invite you into my world, allowing you to glimpse the depths of my pain and the heights of my passion. My tale is a tale of triumph over adversity and an inspiration to artists and admirers alike, reminding us all that art has the power to transcend pain and speak to the human soul. I am Frida.
I'm Salvador Dali. No, do not look behind me. There's no one greater entering the room. You're already in the presence of genius. I was born in Figueres, Spain in 1904. But that is not the beginning. The beginning is this. Before I was born, my parents had a son. He died. And they took me to his grave and told me, I am him, returned. Imagine that, eh? A child raised as a reincarnation. You wonder why I became, how shall we say, unusual? From the very beginning, I understood something essential. Reality is negotiable. As a boy, I was difficult. Brilliant, of course, but difficult. I threw tantrums. I refused to behave. I once kicked my sister in the head. She forgave me eventually. Everyone forgives genius eventually. But I could draw. I could draw like a master before I was even a man. My father, a strict notary, saw this and thought, perhaps this boy will not be a complete disaster. So he sent me to Madrid to study at the academy. Madrid, where I met poets and filmmakers, lunatics, my kind of people. I befriended Federico Garcia Lorca, a poet of such sensitivity he could bleed onto the page, and Luis Buñuel, with whom I would later create films that made audience question whether their eyes were betraying them. But the Academy, they wanted rules, technique, obedience. I gave them perfection. Then I gave them defiance. At my final exam, they asked me to be judged. I said, I am more intelligent than the professors. I refuse to be examined. They expelled me. Naturally. Paris came next. Paris, the center of the universe, where art was not merely made, it was detonated. There I met Picasso. Yes, that Picasso. I told him I came to see you before going to the Louvre. He understood. Genius recognizes genius. And then surrealism. Dreams, madness, the subconscious. The place where reason dissolves like sugar in hot coffee. I did not just join the surrealists, I became their most dazzling, most outrageous representative. And how did I paint? I developed what is called the paranoid critical method. You see, I trained myself to enter a state of controlled delirium. We won't talk about that. To see double images, hidden forms, impossible realities. A face becomes a landscape becomes a body, everything transforms. Reality bends, and I bend it further. And then in 1931, I paint a little thing you may know, the persistence of memory, those melting clocks, soft time, time that drips like overripe cheese in the Cantalonian sun. People ask me, what does it mean? I say, it means I had camembert for dinner. Let them interpret. I prefer to mystify. But let me tell you something true. Those clocks are time made absurd. Because time is absurd. It rules your life. But in dreams, in dreams, it dissolves. Now, no discussion of Dolly is complete without her. Gela. My muse, my wife, my salvation, my obsession. When I met her, I knew instantly, this is not a woman, this is a destiny wearing perfume. She believed in me when others thought I was simply mad. She organized my life, my finances, my career. Without Gela, there is no Dolly as you know him. Because genius, even mine, sometimes needs an accomplice. Now, let us address the mustache. Yes. This. It is not merely facial hair, it is architecture. It is philosophy. It points upwards to the heavens. It defies gravity, like my ideas. People say, Dolly, why do you behave so outrageously? Why? Because attention is the currency of the artist, and I am rich beyond measure. I arrived at lectures in diving suits. I walked Antietas through Paris. I gave interviews that made no sense, and perfect sense all at the same time. I arrived at the Sorbonne in a Rolls Royce filled with cauliflower. Understand this, I did not just create art. I became art. Even when the Surrealists rejected me, yes, they expelled me too. They said I was too commercial, too obsessed with money. And I said, I am Surrealism. Because I understood something they did not. If you want to shock the world, you must first make sure the world is watching. I painted, I sculpted, I made films, I designed jewelry, I worked with Walt Disney. Yes, Disney. Because why should genius limit itself? You think I am excessive? Of course I am excessive. Moderation is mediocrity. Now, as I grew older, the world finally caught up to me. Or perhaps it surrendered. Museums filled with my work, crowds came to stare, to question, to laugh, and I gave them everything. Because I have always known one thing. The only difference between me and a madman is that I am not mad. Yeah, not entirely. So here I stand before you, not as a man, but as a spectacle, a dream in a mustache, a painter of time, of dreams, of impossible realities. Remember this when you leave tonight. Do not fear absurdity. Do not fear imagination. Do not fear being too much. Because the world does not remember the ordinary. It remembers the extraordinary. And I am unforgettable.
Go back to sleep. Leave. Leave.
They go back to
Leave.
sleep, they can't leave.
They're asleep.
Thank you.